Hello again in this video clip series that I'm calling My Journey to God in a Very Secularized World. This should be video clip 23, I hope. Again, I want to talk more about these pitfalls for the ones who are trying to get to heaven in this very confusing world. Today there are many people on the left side and the right side who continually criticize other people. But rarely do they say, as does Our Lady, to pray with the heart for them, for our enemies. And almost invariably, these people do not want anyone to criticize themselves. Are these people following Christ crucified and humiliated, or are they following who? Themselves? The cultural, historical, economical, and psychological crisis today facilitates a closed attitude and the sectarian mentality while seeking security. The prophecy of St. Francis of Assisi tells us that this lack of security is part of our punishment from God. But talking again about Minutella, if the leader, Minutella in this case, if he's a true saint, this leader would not seek followers for himself. Thus, a holy leader, because a holy leader could help his followers to progress toward true maturity, like the true saints who did not have the closed sectarian mentality. I know some people who even pray the rosary every day and even the Mass every day, but they do not indicate that they have a true personal relationship with Jesus crucified and humiliated. It seems that the relationship with Jesus is similar to the relationship between the Father and the Son in the parable of the prodigal son. It seems that their attitude towards sinners, also those with great responsibility in the church, is not like the Father in the prodigal son. It does not seem that their true hidden motive is criticizing and judging others is like that, quote, of our Father who is in heaven, for he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and thus sends rain on the just and the unjust. Matthew 5:45. So the question is, are these people seeking to imitate Jesus and thus to improve themselves, or to straighten out everyone else? Our supreme model in this period is Jesus, totally humiliated and crucified, which is the supreme way to true sanctity and to the purification of the body of the Christ, the church. But we do not want to suffer, and we do not want to be humiliated like Jesus and like all the true saints. Instead, we want to feel we are better than others in a special group, in our disguised pride and in our insecurity and fear in this period of cultural, historical, economical, and psychological crisis, and in the great confusion and satanic deception today, which is part of our punishment and purification from God. Without true humility, there is always spiritual blindness, without realizing it, even if we believe that we are right and very intelligent. In the classic book for our times, True Devotion to Mary by St. Louis de Montfort, in this book clearly describes the criteria to be in the army, the cohort of Our Lady, or to be in the army or cohort of Satan. True humility with Mary, or false humility and pride with Satan. Those who do not let God have the last word in their lives and who are in charge of their lives in their own subjectivism and relativism are in the cohort of Satan. Our Lady in the Blue Book indicated 2 times, in November 2292 and also March 1195, that the prophecy of the prophet of Zechariah is for our times. This prophecy says, "An oracle of the Lord, I will strike the shepherd, and the shepherd will be completely scattered. And then I will turn my hand against the little ones, an oracle of the Lord in all the land. 2/3 of them will be cut off and perish, and 1/3 shall be left. I will pass this third through fire. I will refine it as silver is refined, test it as gold is tested. It will call upon my name, and I will hear it. I will say, this is my people, and it will say, the Lord is my God. This prophecy, it says here that will strike the shepherd. I truly believe we're talking about Benedict was struck down, and now we have a non-canonically elected pope, and also that she talks about this prophecy goes on. You can read it in Zechariah chapter 13, verses 7 to 9. This prophecy goes on, as it said there. I think this clearly indicates that in this period, 2/3 will end up in hell. The 1/3 that will be saved will pass through fire to be totally purified like gold and silver. And it's interesting also how the two extremes meet. The left, like Cardinal Bergoglio, and also the right, like many groups against Cardinal Bergoglio. The two extremes meet. The people in these two extremes are not willing to dialogue. The basis on both sides is pride. They're not willing to dialogue with anybody that's not in agreement with them. Even those with goodwill they won't talk to, who are not in agreement with themselves or with the head of their group. The persecuted believe to be on God's side because they are persecuted by the bad guys. But the Roman Empire, after the death of Jesus, was converted to Christianity not by the poor persecuted who harbored in their hearts resentment and revenge against the Romans, but by the few true Christians who truly loved their enemies, their persecutors, even during martyrdom, as did Jesus on the cross. St. Thomas Aquinas tells us that virtue, guided by prudence, is found between the two extremes, where one suffers much to maintain this holy prudence and humility and true love. I think I might have talked about this before, but I think it's so important I'd like to repeat it, that St. Thomas Aquinas, quoting St. Augustine in his commentary on the right of subjects to resist flaky superiors, recalled that in St. Paul's letter to the Galatians, St. Paul rebuked the first pope, St. Peter, to his face because he clearly was wrong. There being an imminent danger to the faith, prelates must be questioned, even publicly, by their subjects. Thus St. Paul, who was a subject of St. Peter, questioned him publicly on account of an imminent danger of scandal in a matter of faith. And as the writings of St. Augustine puts it, St. Peter himself gave the example to those who govern, so that if sometimes they stray from the right way, they will not reject a correction as unworthy, even if it comes from their subjects. This is a tremendous good criteria if you want to find out if someone's really following God or not. And this goes for anybody, priest, bishop, pope, anybody who does not want to listen to anyone who's not in agreement with them. You know, the truth comes from God, not from the church. And thus no priest, bishop, or pope can change the truth of divine revelation, which is well summarized in the Catechism of the Catholic Church that John Paul II left us. But it happens often that those who believe to have the truth have little humility, and thus the father of lies, Satan, deceives these in a sly, hidden way. What I'm trying to say here is, you know, if I realize and believe that the truth comes from God and not from me, and I have a little bit of virtue, in particular humility, I should be willing to listen to you if you come to me and say, Father Joe, I think what you said here or wrote here is not in agreement with the teaching of the church. At that point, if I truly have humility and believe it comes from God, I'll say, okay, let's talk and try and see what the truth is according to God. But if I believe that the truth comes from me, or I have a hidden agenda, I'm not willing to talk to anybody that's not in agreement with me. And I think this is a very fundamental criteria to look at when people talk. And this goes for anybody. Anybody. Look at the truth comes from God, not from the world, from men, and not even from the church. The church must protect the truth, guide the truth, and not let it be changed to please the world. I finish this video clip here. May God bless you and Mary guide you.